Well, Zero Hedge is reporting that Melvin Capital is down 53%, and I assume that's year to date. Melvin Capital is the hedge fund that had the biggest short position in GameStop. Now, yesterday, well, actually, I don't want to get off track. Essentially, the big short squeeze in GameStop has clearly had its desired effect. Now, I guess they're not bankrupt yet because they've been bailed out, I guess, by Citadel and was it 0.72. And I guess because I wasn't on Wall Street Bets back when they started, pushing this short squeeze in GameStop. I don't know. Is there some reason why these guys particularly hate Melvin? Because it's not like they're hurting everybody. Blackrock, for example, is the second largest holder of GameStop stock. So the person, the group that has benefited the most from this short squeeze in GameStop is not the little guy. It's BlackRock, like by far. There's no small investor who owns anywhere close to as much GameStop stock as BlackRock does, and a lot of these other, big financial institutions. And in case you were wondering, BlackRock's a lot bigger than Melvin Capital. And given that there are, a lot of big Wall Street players who are long GameStop, makes me think that perhaps behind the scenes, these Wall Street Bets guys might have a little bit of help. And in fact, in hindsight, it's a little amazing that so many of these financial institutions tried to shut down the GameStop rally, because, I would think that BlackRock would have enough influence to try and push back on anything that, if in theory Citadel is the ones behind the scenes pulling the strings, making these brokers stop allowing their clients to buy GameStop stock. I would think that BlackRock could go behind the scenes and say, no, don't listen to Citadel, and make an equally compelling argument as a big player in the space. I think that down the road, when the history books are written, perhaps, or maybe long after that, because history books tend to not be super accurate, I think we'll find out that this GameStop phenomenon was a little bit more of an intra-elite struggle than many people at this point imagine. I'm not saying that the Reddit boys are somehow like useful idiots for BlackRock. That's not what I'm saying at all. They're just clearly not the only ones who stand to benefit from everything that's going on here. Now, with that said, I'm seeing a lot of hostility on their board. I think I might have misread the situation yesterday. There's a lot of hostility on their board towards anybody who wants to rotate into any other kind of asset. The pro-silver stuff, which I discussed somewhat yesterday, I found interesting that I was reading on there, is being dismissed, it seems, by most of the people on there as a psyop of some sort. A lot of posts that are getting a lot of, getting a lot of support are alleging that any of these accounts that are pushing silver and saying you should buy silver are just bots, or they're shills. And that, everyone on that subreddit should be all GameStop all the time, and you shouldn't talk about anything else, I guess, except for AMC. Don't really know why there should be an exception for AMC. Frankly, I never much cared for movie theaters myself. And I'm having trouble, I guess, visualizing what the end game here is. How long do they plan on hodling their GameStop? Because, obviously, GameStop's not going to stay at over $300 a share forever. It's going to go back down to 20, or lower at some point. It's going to have to go back down to what its real value is. There's not that much money flowing in to support absurd valuations. It's not like you have the Fed turning on the spigot just for GameStop. The Fed is propping up the entire market, but, they can't prop up GameStop, or they're not propping up, GameStop to this ridiculous extent. It's just, these guys, it would seem, propping up GameStop. Perhaps they won't declare mission accomplished until Melvin is bankrupt for some reason, but again, you bankrupt Melvin, that just, you're going to make BlackRock that much richer. So on net, what do you really accomplish? I guess, you have a scalp. It's a scalp. It's not nothing. But what really, to me, was the threat to the system here was not just holding GameStop stock high. It was the volatility. And so even if you're able to maintain and hold GameStop, above 300, is it just going to settle in there and everybody's going to hold on to their GameStop stock and not sell it, and so that'll keep the price high? To me, if I were them, I'd be looking for more ways in which I could, create volatility, and increase volatility too. Because Robinhood, it would seem, just from all the volatility from the GameStop stuff, they were short of liquidity, as I discussed yesterday. And Sven Henrik, who I'm a big fan of, had an interesting idea. He said, hey, you want to a short squeeze that's just waiting to happen is in VIX futures. And of course, if you're bidding up VIX futures, you're going to implicitly, I think the VIX itself is going to go up as well, because people are buying VIX futures. That's going to just create a sense of volatility in the market. Even though VIX futures are supposed to track the VIX itself, VIX futures are not supposed to drive the VIX. I think that very well might, and I guess, what better way to invest in volatility than literally buying volatility? I might be tempted to make a post about it on there if only I wasn't certain that I would be declared a shill. I'm someone who's had very bad luck on Reddit before. I don't know, maybe it's just me and I've never really gotten to be where I was a part of a community, but every time I've ever posted anywhere on Reddit, seemingly innocuous things, and it's only been a couple of times in my life because I was always more of a Twitter animal, but occasionally I've gone over to Reddit and joined a couple of subreddits that I thought were interesting, and I just get savaged every time. So I don't get the Reddit culture, so I'm not going to be the one to go over there. But maybe if one of you is one of these Wall Street Bets guys on Reddit, and you have some clout and they're not going to call you a bot, maybe you could go over there, and or maybe you yourself should explore the idea of looking into the VIX and, again, creating volatility, because that's what these guys don't want. That's why everybody is short the VIX. Part of it is because they think that stocks always go up, and so volatility always has to go down because Daddy Powell makes it so, but also because they don't want any volatility in the market. They want to just divert more and more capital into asset markets, because they already own assets, and so if more and more money is just flooding into that market, it's going to increase the value of what they own, and therefore they make money. And of course, as I discussed yesterday, when you have a lot of volatility, that brings a lot of risk to the many chains, in the trade. Rehypothecation becomes difficult when there's volatility, and that's a good way to try and create some chaos, to try and stir things up, and to make some people feel some pain. So I guess I'll end with congratulations to WSB. You guys put Melvin through some pain. You've wiped out a majority of their equity. And even if this is the peak of their accomplishments personally, I think that the fact that that any of this happened is an indication that we're approaching the end. This, to me, seems very much like a late-stage bubble sort of behavior. So hopefully that means that we're in for an exciting year in financial markets, where things start to come back down to earth. Though, again, last week I was talking about, well, we'll probably just have, asset price hyperinflation. The S&P goes to 100,000 or something like that. Because if anything starts to go down, then I guess the Fed will just come in and buy stocks directly, like the Japanese central bank does, and will be locked into, I guess they'll set a floor for stocks. Which is possible. The way things are going, it's hard to see just how fast things are going to escalate, because it's moving fast. They might skip a few steps along the way even. So, if you gain anything of value out of this video, I'd appreciate you clicking that like button and sharing this video. And if you haven't already, please do subscribe, because I do upload every day and I'd hate to have you miss one. So, I'll see you folks back here tomorrow.